You know, there's a lot to talk about here for the past few days. And first of all, the Super Tuesday was absolutely not surprising at all. So Donald Trump will be the nominee for the GOP, and Nikki Haley pretty much has withdrawn her candidacy. So she tried to be the anti-Trump, but it didn't do her a hell of a lot of good. Let's see what they had. The delegates. Donald Trump had 1,031 delegates so far, and Nikki Haley has 89. Ron DeSantis, remember him? He had 9 delegates, and old Vivek had 3 delegates. And that's according to this Google search. And so that kind of ended that. And then, of course, we had earlier in the week, we had that Supreme Court case that basically said, no, Donald Trump cannot be taken off the ballot in any of the states because the 14th Amendment does not say what was claimed to be said, and actually that's better for Democrats if he stays on the ballot. Quite honestly, the big problem is how many goddamn fools will vote third party when you have a rat fucker like RFK Jr. in there. And I hope his family talks him out of this shit. Really and truly. You know. And because that's just crazy. Let's see. What else was there? Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, speaking of elections, this is unbelievable. Who the hell they nominated for governor. Yeah, North Carolina governor. Right now it's in the Democrats' hands. But that Cooper, I think his name is, he's not running for re-election. So the guy who's the Attorney General, who is Josh Stein, he's the nominee now. This article was written right before the vote. But he's the nominee, and I would project him to win in the fall. Because there ain't no way. I don't think North Carolina is that damn crazy. Yeah, they have people like Jesse Helms in there for a million years. Senator No, the arch right-winger, the right-winger, the one probably, if you wanted to go clear back, is responsible for the batshittery of the GOP. But the state has changed a lot over the decades. And so it's considered a purple state. It still leans red, but it's still purplish in terms of the presidential election. But good freaking Lord. This crackpot, and he's African American, he is the crackpot to end all crackpots, and he is the Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson. And I have seen clips of him, and he's just, you know, campaigning and various stuff. And he's just unbelievable. You know. And some of the things he said are gonna bite him in the ass. So Josh Stein should handily win the governorship in the fall. So I just don't think people are that damn nuts to vote for him. It says here, in 11 of the last 13 presidential elections, Republicans have won in the swing state. The traditionally purple state continued its red-leaning streak in the 2020 general election, by Trump winning by a small margin over Biden, fewer than 75,000 votes. No guarantee this time around that he's going to hold it, because Trump he's way declined. But anyway, they just talk about this, but anyway, old Robinson is absolutely batshit. He's batshit nuts. But that article, like I said, that's right before the Tuesday's election. And then, I'll throw this in here. And, you know, CBS's 48 Hours had, and I don't know if they aired it yet. I guess they did, because I don't watch it too much except if I see it uploaded on YouTube. But, because I can't stay up till 10 o'clock. That's ridiculous. But they were talking about the Menendez brothers, and there was this new evidence that proved that, 35 years after the fact, right? After the alleged fact, or longer, there's this evidence that could prove that they were abused. They weren't fucking abused. This was a classic case of people who were kids, spoiled brat, lazy kids, who were afraid of being disinherited by their parents. And they decided to take it into their own hands. It ain't hard, people. It ain't rocket science. But I know those brothers had a large group of groupies. They'd write them love letters and send marriage proposals in the mail. And each of them were married a couple of times, these brothers, while they were incarcerated. And all this kind of crap, and they just felt so sorry. And I'd read the comment sections following 48 Hours or CBS This Morning, or the absolute bullshit. And I can't believe anybody believes those guys were actually abused. They weren't abused. If they'd have been abused, they'd have gone to the authorities. If they were abused, they would have cut ties from their parents and went on to live their lives. They had all kinds of things at their disposal. So it's utter bullshit to believe that their parents committed any kind of abuse towards them. The only quote-unquote abuse was the disinheritance. That's what it was. And as soon as they killed him off mafia style, while the parents were sitting at home watching TV and eating ice cream, they snuck up on him and then shot him like they shot their mother in the face. Just like the mafia would do. After they did that, they were squandering the money like drunken sailors. They bought condos, and they did failed business ventures, and they did this and that. They just squandered it. I mean, that kind of tells you what the hell it is. And what people can't seem to understand is when the clients are facing the death penalty, you have to come up with some kind of defense, and one way you do it is to use mitigating factors, and they can be fabricated. Your job as a defense attorney is to make sure your clients, at least in California, your clients don't end up on death row at San Quentin. And that's what this was all about. Trash the parents, pretend that they're the criminals, and the poor little murderers are the victims. And that's what Leslie Abramson, their attorney, that's the kind of crap she pulled. And she had her abused clients get on the stand and cry crocodile tears. It was so damn disgusting. It wanted to make me puke. It made me want to puke. Watching that. Oh, bullshit. Bull fucking shit. It was bullshit then, it's bullshit now. And I hope to hell no judge in California buys their bullshit and has a retrial. I hope not. I hope that hey, why didn't you have this evidence years ago? So-called evidence. Why didn't they speak up years ago? Because it didn't happen. And there's no way you would know it would happen unless you were there. But of course it didn't happen. They were just failures. Their dad was a millionaire by age 30. He's a record executive. Made tons of money. And these sons just didn't have any, he was type A and they were type Z. They were total failures. So anyway, that's enough of the Menendezes. So if anybody comes on here and talks and whines and, they were abused, shut up. Don't even come here. You'll get banned. This stuff pisses me off. Anyway, every time I think of those brothers. And then, let's see. Okay, J.K. Rowling. Or Rowling. I should say Rowling. Oh, she's in the doghouse because she dared to call a man with bottle blonde hair and a receding hairline what he is, a man. And of course, I'm referring to John Willoughby, who goes by the alter ego name of India, his fake name. And oh, he just took offense. Oh my God, it's violence to call somebody by their correct pronouns. Like we give a shit. But anyway, this is from Spiked. And he's talking about what happened with in the Virginia State House with that dude who walked out on the Republican lieutenant governor because she called him sir. Because he is a sir. The big sir. And anyway, so he walked out, and then there was all kind of big old dust up. But it was over and done with. But J.K. Rowling will not back down at all regarding this transgender garbage. And what's his name, has filed a complaint. So Weeping Willoughby, has gone to the UK outfits to complain against J.K. Rowling because she told the truth about his sex. And guess what? You can't, you know what? Quit making this behind a fucking paywall. Anyway, so that's that. If you want to pay to read that shit, go ahead. But anyway, he did file a complaint. And then the last thing I want to touch upon, it was a big old story. And where the hell is it? Oh, God, I forgot. Oh, why don't I look it up? But it was the WPATH scandal. Wait a minute, dog. I'll take you out. I know you gotta go potty. So I'm gonna make this short because I gotta. Anyway, I've been slowly reading this. It's about 200 pages. But the author did a lot of research, and it was helpful research on the background about the usual suspects like Harry Benjamin and such that try to normalize this bullshit. And, of course, John Money and other such people that were just depraved. Anyway, this woman named Mia Hughes reported and did a long, it's actually a book, basically, about WPATH and how it is basically, I mean, it's a quack organization. And doctors who buy into that narrative that they're peddling, they're quacks. It's all quackery. I've been calling this stuff quackery since the early 70s. She talks about the history of all this stuff. And then she goes into the actual WPATH deal. And like I said, I haven't delved into the meat of it, just the background. Yeah, it's 242 pages. But they've known all the time that what they were doing was not on the up and up. And so there's been some talk on Twitter X. They had a kind of like a conference call yesterday. And the big problem is she put her trust in some guy that's a climate change denier, blogger who's and all that, and he's a right-winger. And when you do that, that casts aspersions. I don't give a shit. And of course he was all too willing to support her because that helps him with whatever he's trying to pull. But it's not about saving kids from this butchery or vulnerable adults from this butchery. It's all butchery, and it all ought to be against the law. Worldwide, it should be banned. It never should have been allowed because it's impossible to change sex. So anyway, but a lot of money's been made by these quacks. So that's the thing you have to worry about. But anyway, like I said, I haven't gotten a chance to read the meat of this thing. Just the background. And so far what I've read, she's done a good job on it. So I will link this. Actually, I will find the link, because this is under my personal hard drive. But I'll link a link to it. So then you can read it yourself. But, yeah, first of all, this thing's reflecting too damn much. There. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm kind of rambly. Let's see, what else can I talk about? Oh yeah, yesterday in the mail I received a DVD of something I've always wanted to get, and that was that movie Marjo, which won the Academy Award for Best Documentary way back in 1972, and it was about the child evangelist Marjo Gortner, and it focused, he off and on, he continued to be an evangelist, mainly in the South, and he was really good. Let me tell you, the guy was talented, even as a kid. And of course, that was all exploitation by his mother, principally. But it was his last, the filmmakers focused on his last evangelical tour, and then he quit. His conscience was bothering him, although he still was counting the money. He and the sponsors, or whoever was running the particular evangelical event, or tent event, or whatever you want to call it, crusade, I guess you'd call it, and they were counting the damn money and all that. But anyway, really interesting. And that movie was almost considered lost, because the movie had deteriorated over the decades and stuff. So people that were into film preservation, they thought this movie had been lost. But they did find a perfect copy of it, or close to perfect copy of it, in a New York archive. And it was all restored, and you'd never know it was in danger of being lost. It's really a good movie, and it's very prophetic in how the Pentecostal, this is basically what Gortner was before he decided he was not going to be a believer anymore. But they're still doing it today. Real prophetic in that regard. And Gortner himself is 80 years old now. Can't believe it. He was like 27 in the film, and he's 80. What the hell? And then there was an article in Salon. I wanted to talk about it. I'll just mention it briefly. But it was like from a month ago. And their food editor was moaning about, how home ec wasn't being taught in the schools anymore, and cooking is so important. It's so important. It's such an important life skill that it needs to be brought back. Well, the trouble is, you do that shit, and let's back up. Home ec isn't taught as home ec anymore. It's taught as family or home and careers or consumer science or something like that. It's taught like that. And it's not a female-only thing, because that was outlawed in Title IX. That was one of the things that Title IX banned, was sex stereotyping in the schools. And segregation of males and females into males did shop and females did homemaking. Because back when I was in school in the late 1960s, in middle school, I'll tell you specifically 1967 to 1969, that's what all the girls had to take it. All the girls had to take it. And it was about teaching them how to be wives and mothers. It wasn't always that way. Historians have talked about that it wasn't always like that. But in the 50s, that was the movement. And why the fuck do you want to bring that shit back? Well, she didn't really say. She felt, the author of that, of course, felt boys should get it also. But cooking, honestly, that doesn't even need to be taught in the schools, because cooking is very easy to learn how to do. My mother did not teach any of us, we 3 daughters, how to cook. And the reason she didn't is, I'm sure that was part of her personality disorder, you might say. I don't want to sit here and diagnose her. And she's dead. She's been dead for over 24 years. But she didn't want any competition in the cooking realm, because she was a damn good cook. She was a very good cook. Made the best damn potato salad ever. But she didn't want the competition. So none of us learned how to cook at home. And the sisters, well, one of them married before she even graduated from high school, the first time she was married. And she had to learn it that way. And the other sister was the other way, also that way too. And I had taught myself how when I left home. And, you know, I'm a pretty good cook. But I only cook for myself. I've never cooked for anybody else. But it's an easy skill to learn. Very easy skill. So you don't have to teach it in the schools. And if you teach it in the schools, it's just one part of a life skills thing. But don't sit there and whine and complain that if schools cut out cooking. Which is very popular, by the way. It's very popular. And I think here locally, I think they have culinary arts classes at high school level for the kids if they want to take it, or middle school even, that they have culinary, and really popular. And I think they're electives; they're not mandatory. Where in the school that I worked in Nevada, the home and careers class was required, at least one semester of it. And cooking was part of it. But there were other aspects too. Anyway, on that rant, I'm done. It's 22 minutes, so time to shut off. Plus the dog has to go to the bathroom. That's it.